Nobody tells you this, but if you suddenly become wealthy one day, remember these 10 rules. 1. Tell no one, including your parents. 2. Clear every debt first. Friends, banks, credit cards, online loans. Remove all obligations before doing anything else. 3. Do nothing with the money immediately. Let it sit in your account for a while. Time gives you clarity. 4. Don't rush to buy a house, and don't suddenly move into a luxury neighborhood. 5. Don't quit your job right away. Stability protects your judgment while your emotions settle. 6. Avoid buying cars or luxury items. The first purchases after sudden wealth are often the worst ones. 7. Never rush into business with friends or family. Money changes relationships faster than anything else. 8. If you have children, don't let them know you are rich too soon. Character grows stronger when comfort is not guaranteed. 9. Keep your life looking the same. Act normal. Maintain the routine you already have. 10. Guard your information carefully. The fewer people who know about your money, the safer you will be. Many people dream about becoming rich. Very few know how to stay rich. Save this video for the day you start making real money, and follow for more practical lessons about wealth and discipline.
Let's go. We need more AI like this. It's interesting. I don't necessarily agree with a lot of the views, but I definitely think we need more AI like this, more productive, progressive AI that's pushing people forward rather than the AI that's trying to take something away and leave you there without getting paid. All right, so let's start with the rule number 1. Don't tell anybody that you've just come into sudden wealth. Here's the thing, including your parents. I think if you have to follow that rule, you haven't done the right thing since you left school. What do I mean by that? Well, effectively what I mean is if you can't tell anybody about the wealth that you come into, that means the people around you aren't the people that should really be surrounding you. And I think this is a common mistake that many people make. Many people get around certain circles of people, and when good things or bad things happen, they just find that they can't actually resonate or relate with the people around them. So what that means is the first work, the groundwork hasn't been done. You haven't gone out of your way to build a community, to build a group, to build a mastermind, whatever it may be, depending on your situation, of people that you can confide in when things go bad or when things go good. And that's not really a good sign in the first place. So just to talk on the first rule, my thoughts are you need to make sure you're around a group of people that you can share your wealth come up with, because they're people on the come up with you. Let me know what you think about this, because the reality is so many people are struggling with these kind of ideologies. They don't know if they watch a little TikTok or YouTube video for 50 seconds, 60 seconds, 2 minutes, whether it's enough for them to base their whole life on. And here's the challenge. Many people are basing their whole lives on tidbits of information that they get off of the internet. And not always is that information accurate. Not always is that information coming from people with your best results and your best heart. Well, how do they say it? With your best at heart. That's how you say it, right? So that's the challenge a lot of the time. A lot of the time is how can you know this information is actually credible? But then secondarily, even if the information is credible, how do you know that this information is going to be beneficial for you? So just off that first principle, don't tell anyone, especially your parents. A lot of the time, that's probably going to be the case if you're in a situation where really maybe you shouldn't have made that wealth. Maybe it's a lottery win we're talking about here, because if it's actually a business endeavor that's allowed you to win big like this, the people you are in business with a lot of the time will be people that you've networked with, people that you have relationships with, people you have connections with. A lot of the time, wealth, and I think this is maybe a big paradigm we need to touch on, the fact that many people think wealth is something that happens by accident, and most people don't realize that wealth is something that is very purposeful. So the likelihood of someone coming into a sudden amount of wealth is probably through means of some form of primary inheritance or some form of lottery windfall, because outside of that, the people who are closest to you are most likely going to be aware of what you've been doing. It might be a spouse who's not in your business. Okay, I get it. But outside of that, a lot of the time, it's going to be people that are aware of what you're doing because they're in what you're doing with you. So I want us to really take a step back and think for ourselves. Like, if I really, okay, and maybe this is a good activity for all of us to do, to sit down with our pen, with our pad, with our paper, and ask ourselves, like, if I had sudden wealth come to me, what are the 10 things I'd make sure I do? One of the things that was shared by AIOG was basically make sure you don't buy anything suddenly. Leave the money in your account to ruminate for a little while. And although I think that sounds like a great idea, I think a better idea is know what you're going to do with the resource before it comes to you. And I think this goes back to, sitting down and writing down your list of 10 now before these kind of things even happen for you. Because a lot of the time, whether you're an influencer, whether you're an investor, whether you're an entrepreneur, whether you're an educator, when people do come into wealth, they are going to make those mistakes for themselves. They are going to go out and buy the house. They are going to go out and buy the vehicle. And the reason they're doing that is not because they don't know any better. Sometimes it's because, they want to let their hair down, as they say. They want to enjoy some nice things, and everybody is allowed. Everybody should have some nice things. But I think part of the reason why they actually make that decision is because they haven't made a preeminent decision, a decision prior to having the resource on what they want to get the money into, what they want to actually use the money for. If someone is very investment astute, there's someone who's always thinking about how they can use their money to make themselves more money, then when they go into a situation when they have a sudden windfall, they're not just going to go and buy the house and buy the car. They're not just going to upgrade their lifestyle straight away. And we all know that. Why do we all know that? Because they're already thinking about investments. That's how they got to the place in the first place. But if someone is not thinking like that, if someone's just, a wild card, maybe, I don't know, maybe they're an athlete and they've just come into money because of the skill that they've really harnessed, and they're really a wise asset in terms of how to develop themselves, how to take care of themselves, and how to perform on the pitch, or perform in the court, or perform on the playing field, right? But maybe that doesn't translate into their finances. Maybe that doesn't translate into their wealth. This could be the case. Same with work, right? Some people are just, dynamic and literally destined to build wealth in their business or work careers. But outside of that, they have no kind of earthly idea of what to do with the resources. And I would say, like, every single person should find someone who's better at wealth architecture than they are. Why? Because that's how you get better at doing anything. The way you get better at playing football or soccer for the Americans is by having a football or soccer coach. The way you get better at playing basketball is by having a basketball coach. And obviously the reps and obviously the practice, all of that goes into play, but you aren't going to practice what you don't know. You're going to practice what you know. The way you get better at jiu-jitsu, you get a jiu-jitsu coach, you get a professor. So it's the same with wealth. If you are skilled in an area which brings you high levels of revenue, you would be wise to go and, as it says in the Bible, in the multitude of counselors, there's safety. You'd be wise to make yourself safe by getting yourself counselors in the areas where you are not as learned. And here's the big mistake I've seen people make. I've seen athletes make this. I've seen so many people make this in the past. If you think because you were sharp enough, wise enough, smart enough to make that money, that it's the same skill set, tool set, and mindset necessary to keep that money, you haven't got to the level where you understand how money actually works. And this is the reason why, if you are able, through a skill set, through a tool set, through a mindset, to build and develop a whole amount of wealth, be wise enough to go and create the counselors to surround yourself. Go get that mentor, go get that coach, go get that architect, go to get that accountant, go get those people who become the pieces in the puzzle to make sure your finances don't become confuddled. Because many a time, we've all seen it over the years, people that come into great amounts of wealth and very suddenly end up losing that wealth. And it's not because the person is any less smart, it's just actually because keeping the wealth is its own art. So I want to encourage you, if you're someone who has aspirations and intentions and you have the inspiration to go get wealth, right, in any way, shape, or form, be also someone who's wise enough to surround yourself with the right kind of people, with the right smart thinking kind of people, so that you don't just make the money, but you're able to keep the money too. And look, I'm interested in knowing what you think. What are your thoughts on this topic? Has Don in the AI literally shared it with us? OG AI, has he given us the real principles, or do you think those principles will not work in real life? Will those principles work for you? Let me know in the comments below. With that being said, you know what to do. Like, comment, subscribe to become a part of the tribe. And I look forward to seeing you on the next video, as we all remember that small keys open up big doors. I'll see you on the next one. Let's go.
Small keys open big doors.